Discussion, Facts, Storytelling and Understanding by Nishia Ito. Made with Notebook LM.
We generally think of respect as something that's applied evenly to everyone. But what if it isn't? What if it's weighted? Today, we're digging into a really fascinating idea from our source material, the notion that the scales of respect are often tipped, and what that imbalance means for our whole idea of fairness. So, this whole idea kicks off with this really powerful quote. The argument being made is that the real damage from disrespect, from being treated unfairly, isn't just about hurt feelings. No, it's something much deeper. It's a kind of damage that can actually warp the very lens through which you see the world, making everything feel a little less safe, a little less fair. And to put that into perspective, the source suggests this isn't some trivial thing. The mental toll from being on the receiving end of constant unfairness can become a serious burden, a weight that can feel truly overwhelming. So, with that in mind, let's explore where this weight actually comes from. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, a hidden double standard. We're about to look at how society can take the exact same situation and judge it in completely different ways, and it all comes down to who's involved. Okay, to make this idea less abstract, let's make it real. We're going to walk through two common scenarios. Think of them like a mirror, one that reflects our collective gut reactions and maybe some of our hidden biases. First up, let's talk about something we've all probably seen or thought about: dating and money. Specifically, how we judge a relationship when one person has a lot more of it than the other. So just picture a couple with a big wealth gap. One partner is pretty well off, and the other, well, isn't. The source material argues that how we as a society judge this exact scenario flips dramatically based on the gender of each person. I mean, just look at that contrast. It's pretty stark, right? On one side, the woman's choice is seen as this wonderful sign of her character, her kindness. But on the other side, the man making the identical choice is often seen as making a mistake, a lapse in judgment. It really makes you ask, why is she praised for having a good heart while he's just pitied for settling? All right, so let's move on to our second case study, and you'll see how this idea builds. This time we're taking it out of private relationships and onto the street, right out in the public eye. We've probably all seen something like this happen. A couple is having a huge, very loud, very public argument. The big question is, when we see that, how do we as bystanders tend to react? And here we go again. The societal script just completely flips. The source points out that when a man is aggressive, people instinctively rush to protect the woman. She's seen as the victim. But when the roles are reversed, the man often isn't protected. In fact, he might even be laughed at. It points to this really deep-seated assumption about who is allowed to be vulnerable and who is just expected to take it. So we've looked at dating and we've looked at a public fight. Two very different scenarios. So what's the big picture here? What does all this tell us about how we understand a concept as huge as equality? Whether we're talking about judging someone's relationship or stepping into a fight, the argument is that both of these examples point to the exact same pattern. It's as if the scales of respect and protection are fundamentally weighted, applying one standard in one direction and a totally different one in the other. Normally when we talk about equality, our minds jump to these big topics: equal rights, fair job opportunities, access to education, and physical safety. And let me be clear, those things are absolutely 100% essential. But the source we're looking at argues that we might be missing the very foundation that holds all of that up. And it calls that foundation equal respect. It's this core principle that accountability, judgment, and basic respect have to be a two-way street. No double standards, no picking and choosing who deserves protection, and no biases pretending to be moral high ground. So here's the crucial takeaway. While rights and opportunities are the pillars of a fair society, the foundation it's all built on might just be equal respect. And without that solid foundation, the argument goes, the whole structure's unstable, because our day-to-day judgments and interactions will just continue to be off balance. And that leaves us with this final, really big question to chew on. If the very lens we use to see each other is warped from the start, can we ever actually achieve true equality? The source suggests that until respect flows equally in all directions, those scales will just never be truly balanced.